Lovely, thank you. Well, welcome everyone to my Milestone 3 presentation. My research is the title, A Teacher Without Capability, Do the Kids Miss Out? Investigating generalist educators' perceptions of their impact on drama teaching, and my supervisors, Dr. Carter and also Dr. Lisa Harris. So I would also like to do an acknowledgement of country and acknowledge that we gather here today on the traditional custodians of the land of Whadjuk people. And then also I would just like to highlight that this research centres on that idea of voice and lived experience and storytelling, and that has been central to First Nations culture. Okay, so just very briefly some contextual information before I go in to my actual research itself. So just to have a looking at a quick glossary. So arts-based educational research, it's a qualitative approach where we use creative and artistic approaches to interpret and then also present our research findings. Embodied experience in my research is looking at an experience as it is lived and also how it is felt through the body and how someone can express that as well. Emic experience is my insider perspective as a specialist drama educator in the space. And ethnodrama is our scripted theatrical representation developed from the research. And also an ethic perspective, which is basically me stepping outside, and that is my analytical, critical researcher perspective on the research. A generalist educator in this space is we have deemed a generalist someone outside the drama specialisation, teaching in the secondary context, so it wasn't their major subject area they studied. And also image theatre is really integral to my research, and it is a non-verbal form of theatre where we explore the body to create images. Also, lived experience, again, really important to my research, and it's basically an individual's first-hand experience that they have lived. Positionality in my research, so the researcher's stance and perspective, requiring transparency in how this positions and shapes the interpretation. Reflexivity, an ongoing process where I critically reflect on my position as the researcher. Self-efficacy is looking at the generalists' understanding and their beliefs in their confidence and capabilities to teach drama. Specialist myself, so that experience and training as a drama major. And also Tableau, that is basically a frozen image within the theatre world that tells a story. And then also verbatim theatre, so that other form of theatre that I use where it's taking participants' spoken word directly into my research. So yeah, that's a quick overview at my glossary. My research overview focus, so generalist teachers teaching drama in West Australian secondary schools. My methodology, arts-based educational research, and my non-traditional research output, which is an ethnodrama, where we take participants' spoken word, and then we also look at movement and how we're staging it as well. So, my research question. So, how do generalist educators' perceptions of their capability to teach drama influence students' engagement in West Australian secondary schools? Looking at my sub-research questions, how do generalist educators' perception of their capabilities shape their confidence to teach drama and affect their confidence and potential to teach it? What are the lived experiences of generalist teachers teaching drama in West Australian secondary schools, and what have they concluded where they have deemed that there is an absence of specialist training and knowledge, and how this has impacted their self-efficacy to teach it and cultivate that student learning and engagement? And what do generalist educators believe the benefits are when students do engage in a high quality drama education learning experience? And also, what do they believe they miss out on when they do not? So research aims and objectives. Research aim is to investigate how generalist teachers perceive their capability when teaching drama and how they believe this shapes student engagement. Our objectives are looking at exploring their lived experience, examining their perceptions of their capability and confidence, analyse how these perceptions influence classroom practice. So that could mean things of teaching strategies, how they actually teach the lesson in terms of its lesson structure, how they assess students as well. So anything that they're doing in that teaching space. And identify implications of student engagement. And then also inform what do we need to support them as well. What could the future look like for these educators in the space if they're continuing on to teach it? How can we better support them in the future? Alright, so this is looking at my methodology, my research design, and the conceptual map, which I'm very excited about. The conceptual map at this stage, it took a while, but we got there. So what underpins the study? So we're starting at that self-efficacy, and that is the theoretical framework of my study. So what impact do I want to make with my research? And that starts at that generalist educator self-efficacy in teaching drama. So this study explores the WA generalist educator self-efficacy in teaching drama in those secondary schools, focusing on their confidence, capabilities, and also their own perceptions. Next, we move into the interpretivist paradigm, which acknowledges subjective and also personal individual voices in the space of the generalist, and then also myself as the researcher analysing. Then my methodology, so arts-based research, educational research. So the focus is in that educational space, and we are using those arts-based approaches to analyse the data, which I'll go into, and then also presenting the data, which is that ethnodrama at the end. Of course, the generalist perceptions, that's encapsulated all together throughout the methods and analysing. So we start with our qualitative methods, which is our semi-structured interviews that I had with the participants, and each participant, we had 6, and there were 2 semi-structured interviews per participant. So that was that data collection strategy. Next, we moved into image theatre, which I acknowledge was that non-verbal form of theatre, where we look at things like tableau and how they have expressed their body through their lived experience during the interviews. And I saw this as a bridge from the interviews into the thematic analysis. So the image theatre helped with that. We then moved to the thematic analysis itself, and then as I spoke about, there's that epic perspective, being a specialist educator, drama educator in the space, so I could relate to the participants during the interviews. Some even, said, I would say a particular word like tableau in the interview, and some of them would go, what is that? Or I would mention annotations, and they go, what's annotations? So it just brought that specialist knowledge into the interviews as well to clarify things. And then also the etic perspective, so that outsider, analytical, critical, stepping back from me being in the classrooms as that specialist drama teacher. And then this is where we shift into how is this going to be embodied in not only the exegesis, the written stage, but then of course the performance, the ethnodrama. So we had narrative vignettes, which was looking at the form of theatre of verbatim, so taking the participant's spoken word directly. Then image theatre, which was that embodied experience, and often the tableaus were symbolic in form as well. And then of course my narrator, emic voice, because I play a character in the ethnodrama as well to support the progression of the scenes. And then also the translator, so that's my etic interpretation of how I have created these scenes as well. And then our non-traditional research output of the ethnodrama at the end. Looking at data analysis, I employed Braun and Clark's 6-phase thematic analysis, which looks at reflexive thematic analysis. So it's an iterative approach, constantly going back, thinking about the data analysis. And in this approach, we're looking at themes is identified as that shared pattern across the data set. Again, iterative, as I said, and really that immersion within the data. Researcher subjectivity positioned actually as an analytical resource as well to interpret the data. And also within the ethnodrama itself, it's that idea that what I create, it's not only from the participants, but it's also informed by research as well that I have done in my literature review. Ensures alignment between data analysis and then also the ethnodrama output. So what started off first was phase 1, which was the familiarisation with the data. So this looked at that immersion prior to coding. So things like the manual transcription of the interviews, So across all of the participants' interviews, they were manually transcribed, not only the words itself, but also how the words were spoken. So looking at things like pitch, pause, tone, inflection, to tell that story of how they actually said and spoke their words too. And then of course the opposite, which is looking at your non-verbal as well. So things like posture, gesture, proximity as well. What did their body look like as they were speaking, to again tell that story further. So repeated readings and also viewing of the recordings. And then also I did have some post-interview journal reflections as well, and also this idea of these mind maps really assisted after the interviews of what were our key pieces of information from each of them. Alright, phase 2, this is our initial coding, and this is where that arts-based approach comes into play. And I had like a light bulb moment. It was really lovely one day downstairs actually in level 2, and there's so much focus on my research of that lived embodied experience, and I was leaving it too late into the analysis, so I brought it forward into that phase 2, and every participant had 2 Tableau coding maps that I created that either were directly from their spoken word, or there was that symbolic interpretation of them, okay? So that was used as that initial entry point into how do I start finding themes within this data. So yeah, informed by arts-based performance methodology, image theatre, like I said, looking at that non-verbal physical form of theatre using body to create still images of Tableau to represent emotion, relationship and lived experience, positions the body as a site of knowing and also meaning making, and performance enables that transformation and representation of experience through symbolic action. Supports engagement with both embodied and symbolic dimensions of the experience through focus on physical positioning, emotional expression, and also symbolic and descriptive language. So for instance here, this is a screenshot of one of the Tableau coding maps from one of my participants called Layla. This was an embodied experience and it was titled I Just Don't Know, and that was a repeated pattern that she spoke about throughout the whole interview, I just don't know. And with that, the full Tableau coding map also has salient direct quotes from the interview as well that fit in with that lived experience of that coding map. There they are, there. With this, there's a few tableaus that are formed from this analysis. Number 1 is that described tableau, so that verbatim theatre, so it's coming straight from the participant's voice. The other one was the imagined tableau. So as I was listening to the interview data and then also in person as well as it was happening, I was using my researcher director role to interpret their spoken word as well. So for instance, in Stanley, one of my participants' interviews, he mentioned this activity called Radioactive Man that he does in his drama class, and that's actually turned into a symbolic representation of his experience in drama teaching. And then so these Tableau maps ensure that we have that verbal, but also that non-verbal dimension to data, which is why arts-based educational research is so important to my research, because we're exploring things that in traditional methods can be limited. So yeah, that lived experience and transforming into those tableaus, I was like, oh my goodness, very exciting. And here they all are with the participants across the data set, each having 2 of their own. I've said that already. Okay, this was the next stage, still within phase 2, but once I had created all of the maps across the board of the data set, what I started trying to search for were patterns across those tableaus and those lived experiences that the participants expressed, and I clustered them together. When I clustered them together, there were particular indicators that I needed to start looking for when I moved into phase 3, which was starting to search for those themes. So for instance, the one that I had on the previous slide, I started off with Stanley's first day Tableau coding map, and it was looking at teacher vulnerability in that map, and then across all of the Tableau coding maps, I looked again for teacher vulnerability in their lived experience. And that's how the indicators were formed, through analysing all of those and looking for what happened and what do I need to continue searching for within phase 3. This was phase 3, so again searching for themes, and once I had those indicators I knew what I needed to look for, and then the spoken words, so verbatim dialogue, was copied into this map here for phase 3. So again, indicators, and then those relevant extracts were identified where patterns were evident in their language, and then also the lived experience itself.
5 minutes.
Next, we moved into phase 4, which was reviewing the themes. Provisional themes were reviewed for coherence and analytical clarity, examination of how themes are constructed and represented within the data. Once I had in phase 3, I had all the extracts, I started to find that there were almost categories to these lived experiences. So with teacher vulnerability, there were emotional states, so things like fear, distress and panic. Also physical responses, what the body was doing when describing those experiences, like withdrawal and tension and closing the body off. And then also cognitive as well, so that idea of uncertainty and self-doubt and lack of confidence. Then phase 5 is looking at defining and naming these themes, and one of my themes is that theme of teacher vulnerability in teaching drama. Within this scope though, there was extracts that didn't align in the end to that teacher vulnerability, and they actually better sat in this idea of pedagogical uncertainty, which actually became one of my other themes as well. Phase 6 is looking at producing the report as well. So this is where we are starting to move into the space of writing the exegesis, but also how is it going to look in the ethnodrama space as well when I need to start developing the script work. As you know, so we've got my written exegesis and then also the ethnodrama, so it's that 50-50 split. And that ethnodrama, again, it's that encapsulation, it's that visualisation of the research data in that visual form. This is the synthesis of the ethnodrama script. So again, taking those direct verbatim theatre quotes from those participants' interviews, and this is an example here of how I've taken Stanley's spoken word of his first day in a university drama class and now is into this ethnodrama script form. Themes near finalisation. Theme 1, looking at teacher vulnerability in drama teaching. Sub-themes of teacher vigilance, and then those emotional, cognitive and embodied states that I spoke about. Theme 2 is that pedagogical uncertainty in drama teaching. Sub-themes, lack of subject knowledge, and then juggling the demands of being a teacher. And theme 3 is those contextual pressures on drama teaching. So lack of institutional support, and then also student misbehaviour. Participant checking and feedback, an important part of my research, and one that I'm really looking forward to once I start really sending all these ethnodrama scripts to participants and receiving feedback on whether they believe their voices have correctly been presented within these ethnodrama scripts. Significance, so literature has identified that there are many generalists that are teaching out of area, and they do lack that specialist training and also drama knowledge, which can impact their confidence and self-efficacy to teach drama, but there was a gap in research within the WA context, so again it's contributing to that gap or that WA lens. And then also provides insight on how they're actually navigating it, because we've acknowledged that it's happening, but what is actually happening in the classroom space with these generalist educators. And then again, identifying implications, teacher education, possible professional development, better support for these teachers in the space. Progress. Lots of progress has happened since you saw me last, 2025. All of the interviews are completed, and that data collection, thematic coding and analysis commenced. Completion of Joel and also Stanley's, two of my participants' work in terms of the ethnodrama scripting. And then 2026, it's just that continued on with that exegesis, refinement, development, data analysis, thematic coding, and again, that just overall analysis process. Funding approved as well, and then also the theatre has been booked for the performance. which is really exciting. And then there is my timeline and completion. So my ethnodrama is happening on the 15th of August, and then also my thesis submission is the 23rd of August. It's coming up. Dissemination plan, so as you know, ethnodrama being performed, so that is a key part of my arts-based educational research study happening at the Jones Way Theatre. This is a purposefully selected audience as well, so it is going to be performed to an audience of pre-service educators, whether drama specialist or not, also looking at having principals, head of learning areas as well, as audience members in the space for those key stakeholders. Those audience members will also complete a post-performance reflection on the performance as well. Future work, I would love for to continue this on and have an extended run of the ethnodrama in the future, possibly looking at fringe as well, maybe even professional development as a performance that actually goes into schools and teachers that they can actually watch, because it's that idea that it's becoming more accessible for people. Instead of just reading the exegesis, they can actually sit and watch a performance that encapsulates the research. And that's it from me today, other than my actual creative performance, but I'm not sure when you wanted to do that in terms of the timeline, if you prefer it now or, yeah?
I'm happy,
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so this is a live rehearsal performance of one of the participant scenes called The First Day. Okay. Just go grab a chair for Mitch as well, sorry.
Just check with Paul that he's stalled.
Oh yes, I might move you back, Paul, is that okay?
So.
Or else you might be a bit close.
We're all going to be doing that too.
That's good.
That's all right? Okay. Q, Stanley's first university performance class, a unit that was part of his studies to become a teacher. But his journey into this space was not accidental. He chose drama as his minor deliberately.
I literally thought that it would teach me to act like a professional, more confident, to sound like I know what I am talking about.
For Stanley, drama was not about performance, it was about learning how to present himself, how to be seen as capable and confident. Stanley had never done drama before.
Absolutely zero.
He entered this space with no prior experience, no understanding of what was expected, and no sense of how to belong within it.
I didn't understand anything, and everyone just knew what to do.
That day is a memory that has always just stuck out in his head. In that moment, he felt entirely out of place, just complete isolation.
Trying to cover myself up, and turning my body away, head down, avoiding eye contact.
Stanley recalled that the teacher was almost too excited. She stood in the theatre doorway, and it was just black inside. Stanley did not want to cross that threshold.
Curtains all around. I didn't fit in here. It was so far out of my comfort zone. Just absolutely panic. Truly terrifying. I knew I was going to make a bad first impression and look worse than everyone else.
It was fight, flight, or freeze, and he froze. What he couldn't show, what he couldn't say, sat beneath the surface. That was not just fear, that was the pure terror of Stanley's first day in a university drama class.
Went to class one early morning. I felt so frightened.
describes this lived experience as something he's blocked out, but yet his body still remembers. The fear, the isolation, the comparison, the sense that he didn't belong and that he would look worse than everyone else. In this moment, vulnerability is not just something he felt, it was something he lived through his body. Stanley's experience also reveals how drama spaces, while often perceived as open and expressive, can also be confronting, exposing, and deeply isolating for those who feel unprepared or out of place.
Remain unnoticed. Turn away. Head down.
Holding distance, using his body to protect himself in a space that feels unsafe.
Yeah, listen, can you invite the people to review and to make comments?
Yes, thank you so much, Taylor. That was amazing. Well done.
Thank you.
Yes, I'd now like to open the floor to feedback and questions for Taylor.
Do you want me to start, Paul?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. Taylor, I think this is the second milestone.
Yes.
that I've seen, and I've just enjoyed both of them so much, and I've learned so much. So
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
It was really well structured presentation. Just a shame you had to kind of like.
Yes.
Yeah, because it was so interesting.
Thank you.
You know, I really, I enjoyed the way you sort of structured it. I enjoyed. Thank you for the glossaries at the beginning.
That's all good. Important.
That,
Yeah.
you know, fall out of my field, but I think the level of detail that you sort of showed in like the analyses really made clear that you knew what you were talking about.
Thank you.
That you feel really confident in terms of what you've done and how you did it.
Yes.
Loved your conceptual map.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's hard, isn't it?
It is
You
very
know,
hard. It took me a while.
But it really helps people who are not familiar with your studies come in and look and see, you know, get a really good overview of what you've done and why you've done it.
Yes,
and
yeah.
I think that's really important. I've never seen the use of the Tableau coding maps
Yes.
before. I'm pretty thrilled. I'm looking forward to having a look at your posters
Yeah, thank you.
to see how they work. I did have a question. Were these constructed, co-constructed or constructed by you?
Yeah, so they were either constructed by the participant, so they actually spoke because in the interview I asked about lived experience and how it was experienced through the body. So there were ones that were constructed by the participant. So for instance, Matilda's experience called Help Me Please, and her hunched over at the desk, that was something that she spoke about, and her laying on the floor, people walking over her, that was from her words directly. But then there were also some that had that interpretation from my researcher role as well, that were symbolic of what they spoke about.
What a nice way to do that bridge and
Yes.
to sort of have the participants involved as well.
Yeah.
To sort of help form that. I mean, you called it a bridge between the data. and
Yes,
the analysis.
definitely.
I thought that was excellent,
Thank
and
you.
I think it's a nice visual way for sort of students
Yes.
to look at it. Sorry. And so you called it using it as an analytical lens, and then we kind of like. I didn't have time really to take
I know.
notes because I was too busy listening, but it was really interesting and I did really enjoy it. You've got two people whose analyses you've completed for the data.
Yes, yeah.
How many more to go?
So in terms of the script being 100% done, that's with Joel and then also Stanley. With Jasmine, Layla, Jasmine, Layla, I'm just waiting for participant feedback on what I have created, and then it's my last two participants where I'm just finalising those ethnodrama scripts to send off for.
So you're in the best position really to know whether your timelines.
Yes.
Do you feel confident?
Yes, well, it has been shifted back to August, and I made that decision in terms of the ethnodrama. I was originally going to have 6 individuals represent each of the participants, but I thought let's bring it back a little bit, and I've got 2 that are embodying the 6 participants. So Layla, Mila, Jasmine, and there's one more, I've forgotten the other female, but I have a very good friend, Anita, playing the female roles, and then also Mitch is playing Stanley and also Joel in the ethnodrama. So feeling a lot better about that now.
and so you've got really some good ideas.
Yes.
With
Yeah.
the arts festival and things like
Yes.
that, and getting into that.
Yeah.
I didn't really get whether you're going to plan to do any journal article writing.
I would love to. Yeah, definitely.
I just think you've,
yeah.
even from a methodological point of view, it's sort of like got some really nice things that
Yes,
you
yeah.
could probably get out there, which would be really lovely.
Yeah, and I established that relationship with Jace Journal as well with that previous one that was released last year. So I definitely love to continue building that through Jace Journal as well with the creative.
Exegesis and everything done.
Yes, oh, exactly. This is the focus, certainly.
So I guess in concluding, I loved the drama at the end. Thank you. To
Mitch, yeah, thank you.
very much for that. I did feel the pain, that
Right.
terror
Yes.
with drama and everything. And who wrote the song?
Yeah, so that was a very special moment. This was a participant I've never met before, and he was describing this first university drama class, and he said, Tayla, I actually made a song about this and the experience. And he pulled out the guitar and started singing about his first drama class.
Wow. You did very well.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Yeah. But again, I think that kind of being able to sort of do this with your research, I think it's really meaningful. It kind of makes it really tangible to people.
Yes, definitely.
To actually feel and relate. Much more so to the we need to do more in science, to be honest with you.
I'm sure it could work, yeah.
No, thank you.
Thank you, Jill.
very much for that.
Thank you so much.
Over to you, Paul.
Okay, thank you very much, Taylor. That was an incredibly confident and accomplished presentation, so excellently, well done. I kind of want to endorse everything that Jill has just said. I think that the way you have executed this project and the methodology and analysis that you have enacted has been incredibly detailed. I think the fact that you have gone back and you've checked your data very systematically is impressive. I think the mode of analysis is impressive. You are working across several semiotic modes simultaneously, the linguistic, gestural, etc., embodied, all of those things. And that takes your research into areas that other research doesn't necessarily touch. And I think the fact that you are presenting in different modes, you're presenting an exegesis, but you're also presenting an ethnodrama, and that, of course, gives your research dimensions that more traditional forms of research do not have. I think also what's impressive is that you're going to use the ethnodrama as a means of I'm going to use the word campaigning.
100%, I couldn't agree more, yeah.
Yes. Again, I think that is absolutely brilliant because that again is another dimension that traditional research doesn't touch.
Yes.
It is a thesis that sits in a tome on I was going to say a library shelf, but we don't have library shelves. Just to dig at the institution there.
Yeah.
But it will sit there, and it might be produced in a few papers or something. And whether it is taken up at a policy level is kind of purely incidental, whether somebody reads it or not.
Yes.
But what you're aiming to do here is actually put it right on the laps of policymakers.
Yes,
and kind of confront them with it. Confront them in a pleasant way,
Yes.
in a confrontational way.
Yeah.
But you're giving them an opportunity to see an insight into an aspect of, I think, a subject that is very undervalued and very underrelated and very understood.
Yeah.
Lack of understanding in relation to the subject, And I think that is the power of your work, that you are bringing a very intellectual angle to the whole realm of process drama that actually elevates the subject, as well as pointing out some of the complications, the problems, when you have people who are non-specialists working in the drama sphere. Because I suspect what happens is there is an assumption that anyone can do drama.
Yes.
Because it's just playing around, isn't it? Well, and what your work does is demonstrate very profoundly that no, it's not playing around. It is a very intellectual pursuit. I think also that what comes through your work is you actually have to be quite a special person to be a drama teacher.
Mm.
It isn't something that everybody can do.
No.
So I think I think your work fulfills all those functions of a high degree. It certainly cuts new ground. I think you've introduced very interesting methodological and analytical dimensions that other people can learn from. Do I have any questions? Not really, except where to now? When you've completed this work and you've disseminated it, where are you going to go to next, Tayla?
Ultimately, I'd love to do my PhD, and the research is looking at the implications and how we can better support these teachers, and that's something I'd like to explore, is how can we actually better support the generalists in the space that are teaching out of area. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think also that your findings have relevance to anyone who's teaching out of specialism.
Yes.
So it does have a general application.
Yes.
But no, I think this is a work of very high quality. I as you know, from Milestone 2, I was impressed with your work, and I'm no less impressed this time around. In fact, even more impressed, perhaps. So, it's been a real pleasure seeing your work, Tayla, and seeing it grow. And I wish it every success.
Thank you.
And I wish you every success.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Paul. I appreciate it. Thank you. I'd ultimately love you both to be able to come to the final ethnodrama performance as well, which is on the 15th of August. If you're able to make it, I'd love for you to be a part of that audience so you can see that final presentation. It's at the Jones Way Theatre in the city. It's like this boutique, very small, intimate theatre, and I was originally going to do it at the Hayman, but then I found this place and it just felt right. So it's booked in for. It's lovely. They do a lot of fringe shows there as well, so it felt right. Yeah. So I'll send those details as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Paul needs to come because he has to help me with the videoing.
Oh yes, Paul needs to help with the video, of course. For the reviewers, yes. Okay. Love it. Okay, well thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you for chairing.
Oh
Yes,
yes, you're welcome anytime. Do I just sort of close out now?
I'll ask you, because those are the reviewers.
Reviewers.
We've only got one audience member.
I was meant to be an audience member. Do we have any questions?
Comments?
This is my uncle.
Yeah.
Hi.
Not more a comment, I guess, that with the performance, it's so relatable. I can tell you, doing a UWA engineering degree in the 80s and then stepping into a consulting role, first job, it was no different. I felt all of those things. So it's just so relatable in a really broad context.
Thanks, Drew.
Thank you. Bobby, did you want to? I'm interfering with the chairs.
No, Tayla, I just want to say that was fantastic, and I love hearing that you are thinking about going into a PhD. I just think, you're so confident in your presentation. I love that you're in your theatre black. That's awesome.
Always.
My undergrad was in drama, so this
lovely.
really holds a place in my heart.
Yeah.
Well done. Okay, I think we'll close out there. Thanks everyone for coming.
Thank you. And thank you, Mitch, for your performance.
Yes, thank you, Mitch.